Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Welcome to my channel, I Hate Rock Music. And I'm doing a short series on recent, more modern artists that I love. And as I said in my previous video on Rain Wolf, one of them, I'm a child of the 60s and 70s, and I really love that era of music. I grew up with that era of music, and I love big rock. I love big guitars. So I'm definitely rooted in more classic rock, however obscure. And I've gone through the psychedelic era, I've gone through the hard rock era, I've gone through the folk rock era, I've gone through punk, I've gone through post-punk, I've gone through grunge. And over the last 20 years particularly, the bands that impress me are fewer and farther between. But there's some that really stand out that I love as passionately as I love any of the old bands. In this case, four of them are Autolux, Dead Rider, Rain Wolf, and Death's Ark. And so this video is going to be about Autolux. And of course, a lot of young people out there know who they are. A lot of the old geezers out there like me might not know who they are. But a truly incredible band. And pretty weird that in the last 24 years, they've only released 3 albums. And so I first heard them in 2001 when the first AUTOLUX album came out, Future Perfect. Well, it's actually 2004, and they started in 2001. And that first album just really got under my skin. Pretty regular drums, bass, guitar, vocal, rock. But the songs just got under my skin. Just really fragile, vulnerable vocals, understated. These truly impressive arrangements, and just a sense of melody that just got under my skin. And the guitar player, Greg Edwards, had previously been in a band called Failure, and in fact they're still around. And I was really surprised that he was involved in this project. And that first album was produced by T-Bone Burnett, which is a really interesting choice, a Bob Dylan alumni, and he was in a band called the Alpha Band back in the 70s, early 70s, and more known for country infused rock and some great solo records. And so an interesting choice, T-Bone Burnett. He did a great job producing the record though. But the band is Carla Azar on drums and vocals, Greg Edwards on guitar, and Eugene Gorister on bass. And the amount of music they produce for 3 people is remarkable, and their sound has been described as a combination of post-punk, krautrock, electronic, and shoegaze. I guess that's as good a description as any. And one reason why I compare them to Radiohead is because their first album was definitely a guitar-oriented rock band album, and then by their second and third album, they started bringing in all kinds of electronics and experimentation and everything else. And their trajectory kind of reminds me of Radiohead. And not only that, the quality of their work is up there with a band as great as Radiohead. And in fact, they ended up touring with Radiohead, which completely makes sense. Right now, they're on furlough because Eugene Gorster apparently has been serving some jail time for smuggling cocaine. So, but it's always hard to tell with them. The fact that their first album came out in 2004, the second one, Transit, came out in 2010, and then the third one came out, Pussy's Dead, in 2016. And there's a whole bunch of other material out there by them. There's a demonstration EP with 5 songs done on an 8-track at a rehearsal from 2001 when they first began. And then they put out a what's called the Silver Demos EP also in 2001. And their first album was also mixed by David Sardi from Bark Market, and he's an amazing mixer and producer himself. So to have T-Bone Burnett and David Sardi produce their first album, no wonder it sounds so great, because it really is mixed really well, and brings out the best of the band. And they kind of wanted it to be recorded live, so essentially they recorded the first album, Future Perfect, live, and then put some embellishments in it. And Their trajectory is just so fascinating. First of all, that first album is a rock album, and it just gets under your skin so bad. And one of my favorite albums of the last 20 years. And then they got to Transit, and it's hard for me to even grasp how long they took to realize all the ideas on that record, and the fact that they chose a more oblique sound. The guitar is still in there in places, but there are all kinds of keyboards and electronics and blips and blops, and kind of that same area that Radiohead ended up moving into, where there's a lot of electronica involved. But the way Autolux integrated all of it is just brilliant, absolute genius. I can't believe how many surprises are crammed into one song after another on Transit. Um, the fact that they even conceived that music is just beyond me. And then by the time they got to Pussy's Dead in 2016, it definitely has a little more restrained. It has a lot more elements in common with their first album. Definitely the guitar is featured again. But that Transit record is just unique, and I think they rightly point out it has some krautrock elements to it, like Cluster and Noi. Um, just a really strange record that works on every level, including some great vocal work and some great harmonies. And Greg Edwards does a lot of more full-on rock guitar playing in Failure, but his work in this band is so understated and economical and tasteful, and so brilliant. He comes up with so many great ideas and so many interesting riffs. I'm constantly amazed at what could be done with the guitar, bass, drums lineup, and this band is a perfect example. And they've been going out touring with a lot of very big bands that are pretty well known, and so a lot of people in the music world know about them. There's a lot of great live performances. I'll attach some of those below. So I'll have the albums below. I'll have those demos posted below to check out, and then some cool live performances too. And the fact that they reasonably pull off the material live is impressive as well. It's just I don't even know how to articulate how brilliant this band is. I really in the last 50 years, after the my classic era of 60s 70s rock, this is truly a 21st century band that when I listen to, everything is where it should be. Their imagination is unbounded. All the elements they bring into creating music are so incredible, and the fact that they're memorable songs on top of everything else, no matter how oblique and enigmatic and mysterious they are. And so, but once again, for me, it's just astonishing the band can be together for 24 years and only have three albums, and three albums of three of the greatest albums of rock in the last 20 years as well. Incredible. Autolux. I never know when a new favorite band is going to pop out, and this band I discovered just purely accidentally, and was sucked in immediately, and just the unlimited joys of their three albums I can hardly express. So for you old geezers out there, check them out. You may or may not like them. All you young folks out there, anybody that might be watching, of course you know all about them, and I don't. In the midst of all these interesting bands doing so much strange, exotic work over the last 20 years, I hope that Autolux stands out the way they should. There's a lot of bands out there that are uh, combining so many interesting elements. Maybe for young people, Autolux isn't quite as impressive, but to an old guy like me, it's hard for me to even believe a band this amazing and so interesting and imaginative can even exist. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching I Hate Rock Music.